this morning. So, watching SPRT this morning a little bit. Been going up pretty nicely. Just made a new high right now. Didn't take a trade on it, but SPRT is going to be the one to watch. Probably pushing up pretty nicely right now. I wanted to see if we were going to get a little bit less of a breakout on this. I feel like this candle's just pushing. So, gonna have to wait until pullback to get into this. But really nice volume at 7:30. Just made a new high at 7:30, so that's all looking super good. SFET just popped up on scanners, but very low volume. So, added a new study to my 5-minute charts that I don't know if it's gonna work out, but I just want to try it out. See how it ended up looking. I have like the volume profile up. See if I can use it at all today, but it looks like the volume profile is pretty wonky for these low floats that have picked up a significant amount. It kind of doesn't know. It doesn't know what to think. RT's still pushing up. Good for a pullback to get into this. Maybe pullback back down to 625 or maybe closer to 610, something like that. Definitely gonna be a minute before we could buy in. But it's looking absolutely outstanding this morning. Up 200% right now, so pretty insane. I took a very small trade on it, closer to 7 o'clock. I think I'm up like $40 in my other account, so I think too exciting, but yeah, at least starting the day up a little bit. So it's pushing down 650, but I'm encountering a lot of buying coming down into these levels. So it seems pretty strong. I'd like this to come back down a little extended. I'd like to see this put in maybe a second red candle on the 1 minute right now. On the 1 minute, we got one red candle, and then it just broke out. Maybe we get this to pull back a little bit. Yeah, it's just already pretty extended, so I don't want to have to hold through a big pullback if I buy into it. Just steady going up. Yeah, so the opportunity for the buy on this was the break over 662 on the 5 minute. I thought it's just a little extended. Actually, 662 on the 1 minute. The 5 minute, we're looking very, very extended. So rather not take a trade on that looks like this. This is that volume profile I was saying before. I don't know if this is gonna be useful. It kind of just makes my charts like scale really poorly. But at least like you can see areas of very high volume. The highest volume so far in the day was the push up to $6. You kind of similarly see it in the regular volume candles on the bottom, but it's just supposed to give you a representation so you can like scroll to the right and see at what price levels different amounts of volume are. Highest volume candles of the day right now. Obviously, all good look there. Just keeps going. Now, new 5 minute candle just started. We'll see what it ends up doing. So many green candles in a row here on the 5 minute without putting in like a real pullback. Still going up. Now we're real extended on the 1 minute. Super extended on the 5 minute. We need a pullback here. Have anything happen. I'm just afraid now that it's gone up so much today that when we do get a pullback, it's going to struggle to get back up. Like, highest volume candle of the day is the last candle. And light green, obviously. Crazy. Tapped off 750. Seems to be hitting a little bit of resistance coming into 750. See if we can get a bounce down off 750, maybe down to $7, maybe lower. VWAP right now is at $5.60, so we're $2 above VWAP. It extends. See if we can get a sell off here. We'll see as it comes down closer to 7 how it looks. Do come down closer to 7. Come back up. So the next 1 minute candle comes over 738. That's going to be the place to buy. Now, I missed this last one just because I thought it was overextended. It wasn't going to push up anymore, but I think it was just pushing up. So I bought 15 shares or 30 shares for the push up over 750. Thing seems like it's just going to go off, no matter what we do. So when it pushed up over 750, sold off half. Because now I don't want to get caught in this pullback that we've been waiting for. Seems like it broke over 750 and had a little bit of trouble. It's pulled back real hard though there, so I sold off the other half of my shares. So this is the time you got to be careful, as it's breaking up here. You don't want to get caught in this pullback because this pullback could be really, really hard. Took a pretty bad execution on these trades. I made $2 on that trade. I took 30 shares. I sold off the first half of the shares when I came up over 750, and then I sold off the second half as it pushed back down to cost basis, but did not get a good fill on the sell towards my cost basis. I filled like 10 cents below it or something as it pushed down. So I'm using new mic settings today, so if anyone's actually listening and my mic sounds like terrible or too loud or something, let me know. So I woke up at like 7 today, so I'm like super dead right now. Trying to wake up a bit. Oh, shower didn't help. So it's bouncing off 715 again. See what this next candle does. I expect a little bit more selling off, but it's really holding up above 7 pretty well. As soon as it pushed down below 710, it immediately got bought up. I'm gonna try to snag down here. So it's holding up really well above 7. So I bought 30 shares coming up off of 7. I'm gonna try to sell some off on this bounce here if we can get a bounce up. I sold off half coming up to 720. We'll see if we can continue to hold 7 here. Seems to be coming down a bit now, so sell off the other half. Just looking for like a little bounce on that. It bounced like 15 cents or something like that. But I don't want to get caught if we do drop below 7. I think it's going to be a pretty hard drop. So I don't want to be caught in that. Now the 1 minute breakout's going to be above 720. So buy a couple shares coming up through 720 right now. Add some more shares if we come up through 730. But it seems like we're dropping off right now. See if we hold above 7 here. So this is the new 5 minute candle. 5 minute candle's been open for a minute right now. Seems to be struggling over 720 now. Probably sell off these shares. Hold them off for like a 5-cent loss or something. Again, I'm making quick trades right now if it doesn't seem like it's being super strong because I don't want to get caught when it drops below $7. I think that's going to be way worse than any potential gain that I can make. Now we had a 1 minute breakout here that failed. Now we're going to be looking for a 5 minute setup probably to actually take a trade on this. Last red candle, a little bit higher volume. Nothing too crazy. Still highest volume candles of the day are all green. Down a little bit again. Seconds left on this 1 minute candle. Still 2 minutes left on the 5 minute candle. If it starts pushing up now and we get, through 725, I'll probably buy. It looks like we're pushing up. Bought in 725. If we can push up above. Add if we hold above 730 here. I'm above 730 pretty well. Add 15 shares. Price target. Push up to 750. Sell off some shares. Otherwise, probably look for closing out close to the bottom of this 1 minute candle. Like we're failing a little bit. I can sell some on the ask here. Try to get out at a little better price in case this does fall over. So if we want to see the move like straight up through 730. So now we gotta sell off now that we just put in a really big wick here. We pushed red. And just trying to make some quick trades here before we see it make like a real pullback, since it seems like it's trending, towards doing that right now as it drops below 7. And we'll see how it holds up as it comes down to 7. God, man. I thought when it broke through 7 that it would drop. That looks... that held up insanely. Dropped to like 698, immediately got bought up. New 5 minute candle is starting soon. Might try to take some shares here off of 7. See if I can buy on the bid off of 7 right now. I'm gonna buy a few shares on the way up here. So it looked like it held 7 super well. So I mean, it's looking really strong. Obviously, it's moved up 230% already today. Just held 7 insanely well. So I'm looking for a move up on this. So my cost base is a little high. I just bought more, pushing up through 720. So now the break of the 5-minute is going to be the push through 739. So we're going to look to add on the way up through there. Otherwise, we'll kind of read what it's doing and try to bail out if it looks like it's pulling back down. So just came up through 740, bought through 740. Yeah, it's looking as it pushes up through 750, holding 740 well. So I took off half my shares, pushing up through 750. And then now it's coming up into 760, which is the high of day currently. Broke through by 1 cent. See if it can hold above 750 here. Being a little cautious just because it is pretty extended. Pulling back quite a bit. This is a pretty big 1-minute candle wick if it pulls back here below 750. I'm just gonna cut it right there. It pulled back quite a bit. I want to be more careful now that it's moved up so much. Even though it looks like it's holding really well. Alright, so it just ripped through 760. Still holding 15 shares. For the move up to 8. I'll hold these shares. Just see what happens. Back to my cost basis probably. 8. As it breaks through 8, I'll probably take these shares off. See how it holds above 8. Having a little trouble holding up over 8, but still looking really solid. Having some trouble up there though, so I'll sell off my shares as we come down. So up $17.50 on that trade. Probably could have been up a little more. As it put in this wick on the 1 minute. So we saw this same thing where it pushed up through 760 previously, wicked down, had this big wick here, and then pulled back. So as it was pushing up through 760, I took off a third of my position coming into the highs, and then once it, putting this wick back down, kind of looking similar to the price action we saw earlier today. So I sold off another half of my position coming down just to kind of shield myself in case it did roll over at this point after it tapped the highs. So took off a third, then took off half of the remaining, and then I held the 15 up, but still looks like it's just ripping, man. I'm trying to be a little cautious because it's already up 250% or whatever. So trying to shield myself from some of the downside if it does turn around. But it seems like it's just pretty solidly ripping right now. The 5-minute is just so extended. It's absurd. The 5-minute's been extended since 6:35. Really barely any pullbacks coming in at all on this entire 5-minute chart. So whenever you're buying now into the highs, like, you have to know that you're over $2 above VWAP. RSI is above 90, or close to 90. That's just hard. This is a little bit more of like the pullback I was looking for back down here in the 7s, where it just pulled back 45 cents on fairly high volume. Now, I would look for this to pull back a little more. Maybe even coming down into like the 750 area. Again, this thing irrationally strong, holding up above 8. See what the next 1 minute candle does. The high of this 1 minute is now 811. So I'm not going to buy unless it looks like we're holding above 8. If it looks like we're holding above 8, maybe we'll buy on the break for this next one as we come back up. Now it's pushing up a little bit more before this 1 minute candle even closed. It's just so close to the highs. If this had closed closer to 8, this last 1 minute candle, and then we had the break over 810 for the move up back to 845, that's much more reasonable. If I'm buying it at 810, I get filled between 805 and 810. Then we're looking for like a price target of 845, so it's like a 40-cent upswing, and then, on the downside, I wouldn't want to do this, but, on the 1 minute, you'll probably have to hold back down to 760, so it's like a 40-cent move down. I'd probably keep it tight, like just below 8 if it looks like it was coming down. Sure, there are many people right now who are just making an absolute killing on this. I am fortunately sitting on the sidelines at the moment. I would be willing to take like some more quicker trades if I had more faith in Thinkorswim's execution time, but I've gotten wrecked a whole lot. If I like bought up, coming into 820, it immediately turned around and then dropped. I've had many times where I haven't been able to get filled selling on the bid if it's dropping really quick, and then I could be in for quite a drop coming through 8. It doesn't look like that's a problem because it's going up. So one thing to note, these last 3 candles have been on fairly light volume compared to the last few big pushes. So uncharacteristic so far this morning. So I wouldn't be super surprised if this turned around pretty quickly just because of the light volume on the way up right now. As far as like the volume profile goes, like a new study I slapped on my charts this morning. Pretty much it says like the main volume rate coming back down into $8, which is a ways away now. Like I said before, this move still coming up on fairly light volume. So seeing a lighter volume push up wouldn't be completely unexpected to see a pretty steep move back down, especially because this last breakout wasn't nearly as strong as previous ones. Still, though, the buying at support levels has just been absolutely insane this morning. This thing, like, absolutely. So the smart move there probably would have been to buy up through 850, but I don't love the way this volume is. A lighter volume on the push up, fairly large red candle, which is uncharacteristic of what we've seen today. Most of the time on these moves up, you'll see like a smaller red candle, and then it'll push back up immediately. Fairly large red candle. I'll wait to see how this shakes out. I'd really love to see like a better 5-minute setup on this. The 5 minutes have just been like super, super, super extended. So, like in my eyes, buying a dip off of $7 was a good idea just because it was holding it so well. And we had multiple points of contact coming into $7. So I thought that was a really great place to buy off of. Ended up working out very well. But now, if we wanted to buy off this 850 level, it just came down and tapped it once and then immediately moved back up. We're not getting like multiple, points of information to see where these support levels are. and the volume is acting a little bit differently than the rest of the day at the moment, which kind of making me a little scared to buy in. Give this a second. Give it a second. See. As far as the rest of the stocks, this SPRT really the only one moving up, so it's gotta be the one to watch. And we're coming into the last 5 minutes before 8. Interested to see what happens here. I really want this thing to pull back just a little bit so I can get a decent entry on it. Now every single time, now it's $2.50 above VWAP. Volume's coming in lighter. You don't know which of these entries is going to be the entry where you buy in, it just turns around on you at $1.80 or something when it spikes down. This thing is essentially putting like 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 5-minute green candles with no real pull. Had very, very, very tiny red candles on some of the 5 minutes, but things just been going straight up essentially. Coming back down into 850. Getting bought up. So I'm gonna buy 15 shares here. It just came up, got bought up into 850 again, which worked out pretty nicely last time. It seems like this might be the time where it doesn't work. It's fighting at 850. Struggle. See which way it ends. Seems to be down a bit. Buyers losing a tiny bit. Drops down through 845. I sell here. So tried to take the bounce on that one. It had previously hit 850 and bounced up pretty well. It bounced up, about 15 cents or something like that, but then immediately pulled back. Then up. Higher volume on this red candle than some of these previous green candles. Nice to see a bit of a pullback here. Minute and a half until 8 o'clock. We're putting in a nice 5-minute red candle now. If this closes anywhere close to where we are right now, this is by far the biggest red 5-minute candle, which is insane because it's only like a 70% pullback from the highs, and this thing has gone up like $7 today or something. So absolutely absurd. 1 minute left to 8 o'clock. Buying off 825 might be the play right now. Seems to have bounced up quite a bit. See if we can get it to pull back down a little. God, it's bouncing off of these levels like crazy. I was hoping we wouldn't see a breakout until 8 o'clock. I feel like it went a little early. What happens here at 8? Come back down to the low 40s. See if it comes back down into the 30s. Pop down into the 30s. Got 10 seconds left on this candle. Coming into 8. See what next candle do. We're selling a bit. See if we hold. We'll see if we hold up at this 820 level. I'm gonna buy. I didn't get filled. Problems with TD, man. Try to get filled down in the 820s. Got filled for some. Filled at 830, unfortunately. Not a great fill. So we'll hold this down to 817. See if we get bought up off of these. Immediately dropped. So now we're going to wait for a 5-minute pullback on this. Seems to be coming back down to earth a little bit, which is good. You know, it just had its biggest pullback so far, and it's still nearly $2 full above. Just absolutely insane. Right now, the high of this 5-minute candle is sitting at 8:30. About 4 minutes on it. Probably going to be a little while to get a decent setup. SESN just popped up on the scanners. It's at volume, so that's good. See if it holds up, though. Five-minute now. RSI coming back down to ish. Finally putting a few decent red candles. Been waiting for this for ages to get these red candles in. Above $8 pretty well. So, see how we hold above 8 coming in now for the next 3 minutes. I feel like the last time it pushed up here on this candle was a little bit premature. Unfortunate. So hopefully we wait for a little bit of a better time to push up this next time as we come down. Volume profile. So very light volume between 775 and 785. So I'd expect if we push down to those levels, if we push down to 785, we'll push like pretty quickly down to 775. See if that holds up. Seems like there should be maybe some resistance coming into, closer towards 725, 750. Just put in this 1-minute candle on very high volume. Not highest volume candle of the day, but still very highest volume selling candle so far. Quite a lot of volume coming into it. So 760, previous high of this move back here. So might be something we bounce off of. We have 1 minute left on this 5-minute candle. Now if we come up over 785, I'll probably take some shares for the move up on the 1 minute with the expectation of the move for 5 minute. Shad Guts, thank you for following, man. I appreciate it. If you want to follow along with me, check out oliveguardians.com. I got my scanners up there. Everything I trade on the day, I get from the scanners. So if you want to see what I'm trading, you can follow along there. So just bought some shares for this break on the 1 minute. Quite a lot of selling coming in. Might take these. See if it holds above 860. But the new 5-minute candle should be starting soon. So now if we break down below, 770 here on this new 5-minute candle, then take the shares off. Otherwise, looking for a move back up on this next 5 minute. I think we're it. There was quite a lot of resistance coming up into 790. So see if we come back up into it and see how the price acts moving up there. Otherwise, we want this to hold above 760. Again, this was us like buying in for this first 1 minute breakout into the 5 minute. So we just put in two very large 5 minute candles. So reasonable to assume if there's strength coming back into the stock. We'll see it coming back up now. These are the biggest 5 minute candles we've put in so far today, red wise. So now we want to see some buying coming back into this if we're going to get a move back up. It's pulled back $1.20, so that's more of a reasonable pullback after the price action. God, it's really struggling coming to 780. So just did a 1 minute breakout. Holding above 780 would be really here. Pretty light volume on the buying here, not really what you want to see. Five seconds left of this candle. Looks like it's going to close. Pushing back down to 760 now. Tapped off of like this 763, 760 level a few times now. Might have been the more optimal place to buy in, but it looks like we're really struggling buying up above 780. So if we want to take more shares on this, we need to see it come up through 780, through 790 and hold closer to 8. Up, tap 787. A little bit higher than this last candle that we saw. So now we're coming up into 790. See if we can hold up. Obviously a little bit more of a struggle this time coming up than the previous time we broke into $8. So nice green candle there. A little light on the volume. Would have liked to have seen more volume coming into it, but still really nice green candle. Pushing up to 790 again. If we push back up through 8 right now, then that's looking really nice for us. 5 minute candle's got a minute and a half left on it. High of the 5 minute is this 795 level. So in a minute, we'd like to hold pretty close to 790, definitely above 780 in this last minute. And then the next 5 minute candle, we want to see that break over $8. Come down a little bit. Yeah, quite a bit of selling coming in right now. Coming down through the 763, which we tapped off of before. See if we can hold up above it. But it looks like there's a lot of selling coming into it, yeah. So I'm going to sell off my shares there as we're pushing back down through 760. It's unfortunate. Yeah, I think buying off 760 was the better level to buy off of. I bought off of this first 1 minute candle breakout, expecting the 5 minute candle move, but didn't work out. And volume, big or like high volume on this really big red candle down, but besides this, the volume's been pretty light on the way down, I would say, compared to the way up. So I think, unless more volume comes in on the selling side, I think at some point this will turn around and come back up, but it's just going to be a waiting game until we see that happen. We've had a few other things pop up on the scanners, but nothing that's really had like much staying power. I mean, BCRX popped up, but I feel like it hasn't really held very well. Check it out. Yeah, it's pulled back the entirety of its move. So SPRT is still going to be the one that I'm watching right now. Started a new 5-minute candle. I have the previous 5-minute candle is at 7.94. So as we come up closer to $8, I'll probably think about taking a trade on this. The 1-minute setup now is above 760, and this red candle actually looks pretty good. Has a pretty large tail on it, which is what you want to see on these red candles. It means that they're getting bought up when they come into the lows, and again, you can see that this 1-minute candle again, just as soon as it came down into this level, got bought up pretty well. So still seeing a little bit of strength as it's coming into these lower levels. And now we're getting closer to VWAP, which is nice. So VWAP's now sitting at 670. The buy over 760. See how the volume turns out on this next candle. Still very light volume on the buying. Quite a bit of volume here, just below $8. But just these individual candles, the volume isn't that strong. So I'm going to wait for a 5-minute setup. Still have 2.5 minutes on this next 5-minute candle. A minute. GRNQ popped up, but again, not very well. A bunch of this other stuff we've seen pop up today just didn't really hold up very well, so I haven't tried to take a trade on it. And SPRT is, the obvious one to watch at the moment since it's doing very well. Another green candle, but again on very light volume. Well, I say very light volume. It's pushing 250,000 shares, which is, pretty good volume. But as compared to the rest of the day, it is on lighter. Now it seems like, we finally come down to earth a little bit as far as like being overextended. We're now a much more reasonable point. We're still sitting $1 above VWAP, which is pretty significant when you're only $8 stock. But we've now put in quite a few red candles on the way down, which is better to see since it just made such a crazy move on the way up. It was hard to buy into it and have the confidence to continue holding on the way. It was looking very strong, so I could see people continuously buying into it, but when I hopped in, at the point that I hopped into it, it had already moved up several dollars without a real pullback. So coming back down to 760, but looks like it's getting bought up off the 760 level. So now is the time that we're going to try to get this, this 5-minute setup. So now the move above 787 is going to be the new 5-minute high. Might have been a good idea to buy some shares off of the dip right now. Seems to be holding up above 760 pretty well. So 1-minute breakout's going to be coming up into 780 here. So bought a few shares, 15 shares, 779. Looking for the move up on this 5-minute. So the break over 787 is going to be the new high. Pulling back a bit. Really, we want to see the volume come into. Haven't seen a ton of volume in these last few candles. Quite a lot of selling volume right now, but it's getting bought up pretty well. We'll see how this candle holds up in the end. Seems like it's getting bought up pretty nice. So try to take a few more shares, but I didn't get filled, unfortunately, as we came back up over 780. So try to take a few more shares here too, but also didn't get filled. The story of my life with Thinkorswim. Alright, so pushing up. See if we can hold above $8 pretty nicely here. So really nice breakout, 40-cent move up so far. Unfortunately, I tried to add 2 separate times and didn't get filled either time, so I'm still holding 15 shares. I would have liked to have been holding 45 right now. And you see, on the 1 minute, the volume is coming in much stronger here, which is what we want to see. So this volume coming back in is a very good indicator that we're going to get a move back up. Oh, dude, I tried to buy again, coming up into 820, didn't get filled. I'm just getting wrecked right now. Never get filled when stuff's moving quickly, because really, like, you want to buy into these levels, these breakout levels, and usually coming into the breakout levels is where everyone else wants to buy. So if you don't have faster execution than everyone else, then you're gonna get left in the dust. Come up quite well. We just tapped off 850. That's good to see. So now we're just got a monster 5-minute candle. Really, really nice volume coming. So really, as we come up now, like that, we've just put in such an insane move. I'd probably want to take off half the shares I'm holding, but I'm holding only 15 shares, so I really don't have a I really don't have a choice here. So if we start seeing some weakness, then I'm going to take these shares off and then try to put them back on in a dip. So if we start coming down towards 860 now, I'll take these shares off. So took them off at 860. We'll see if we can get a dip down to maybe 850. Dude, I just tried to buy more at 850. I just didn't get filled. Yeah, so this is the reason I think that Thinkorswim is very problematic. So 4 times now, 4 times in the last minute and a half, I have tried to buy shares and was unable to get filled. So I do. Really unfortunate. And then it's just like if you want to buy into a breakout, right? And so I wanted to buy into 820 down here. I tried buying into 820. By the time my order was even on the board here, it had already moved to 840. And then it's just like, well, I'm 20 cents off the buy point that I wanted to buy into. Am I willing to take the risk to buy it 20 cents up? And I think it's just not worth it. Quite a bit of selling coming off $9 right now. Holding up above 775. Just broke through. Dip on higher volume definitely, but not too high. Candle coming in. See what this candle is pulling back a little more. It seems like we're holding above 870 pretty well. 870, 870. I'm gonna try to buy 15 shares here. See if we can come back up through 880. So it seemed to have been holding 870 pretty well. Just broke down to 869. Yeah, and pulling back a little bit more, unfortunately. So we'll see if we can hold above 860. I didn't get filled on the sell. I was gonna try to take the shares off at 870 when it looked like it was gonna come back down to 860. Then maybe buy a little lower. Seeming to struggle a little bit down here. Push down below 860. I'm gonna sell off these shares. And of course, I didn't get filled again. Took like 10 seconds to get filled there. Just story of my life this morning. Alright, so yeah, it looks like buying the dips. Dips aren't being held nearly as much as they were earlier today. Which makes sense. I mean, we're fairly extended now. A lot of the people who wanted to buy in have probably bought in already. So we just gotta wait for these setups on the way up. It looks like the breakouts have still been really strong. So buying up into this breakout. I tried to add at 790, didn't get filled. Tried to add at 820, didn't get filled. Tried to add at 850, didn't get filled. It's absolutely absurd, dude. So we gotta wait for these breakouts. Now 1 minute on the breakout is 845. See if we keep pushing down here. Ideally, we'd want to hold above 820. 820, fairly large point of back here. It's the top of our largest, red candle up until this last pullback. Holding above 820 right now would be really good. Buying into the 1 minute breakout. Broke out a little bit premature right now. I'm gonna hold off until the next candle to see what the next candle does. So a few other things popped up on the scanner, but nothing really too exciting at the moment. A little bit selling off. But we'll see if this ended up being a bear flag or we're actually going to go back up here. What's going on, man? How's my mic sound this morning? So pushing to 830 right now. See if we can hold up above 8. If we start pushing up towards 840 right now, maybe I'll take some shares. Just broke down through 830. It's seemingly getting bought up as we're coming into the 820 area. Few seconds left on this candle. I'm going to take 15 shares here as we push back up. It looked like we had a nice bounce off of 825. So going to take 15 shares. Looking for the move back up on the 1 minute. Looks like we're kind of bottoming out a little bit here. We hit bottom, bounced up, then we came back down a little bit lower, bounced up again. So really 820 is the place that I'd like to see us hold. That's good. Yeah, it definitely sounds much better than before. 5-minute candle is closing right now. So now is the time we want to make sure watching for this breakdown below 820. If you break down below 820, the breakdown on the 5-minute, we want to watch out for that and bail out. Otherwise, we'd like to see a move back up through 850 here. Tiny bit of like micro consolidation here on the. See if we end up breaking up. Okay, broke up 60, up a little bit. Region. I'll put on 15 more shares um, since it looks like we're looking strong, and I'll probably take off half the position as we come up into $8.99. Pushing up into 80 right now. I think we're having a little trouble holding it up. Little trouble holding this 880 region, so I'm going to take off half. Now we want to see it hold above 860 here. Nice. So push back up above 880. Now that we're like really pushed up, I'm probably going to be putting on shares and taking off shares maybe a little bit quicker if I want to add going into some of these breakouts, so I don't get caught out too much. Just broke out above 9, but again having a really hard time holding it, similar to what we saw last time. See if we get bought back up here, but really big wick now. Yeah, I'm gonna take these shares off. Didn't get filled, obviously. So take those shares off just because really big wick, very high volume red candle. It's just really not what you want to see going into a breakout into the high of day. Yeah, I don't know what's up with the static. I think the static is like literally just like my mic. So I don't know what's going on with it. Really annoying. Well, maybe I'll just buy a better mic at some point. So now breakout in the 5 minute just failed. Breakout in the 1 minute just failed. Very high volume red candle on the 1 minute. Second highest volume candle of the day. We're looking a little worse now. I would say that I'm not expecting this to come back up right away. 2 minutes left on the 5 minute. Went from a nice green candle with a really nice breakout to all of a sudden a red candle that's broken down. It's about to break down. I would expect a little bit more of a pullback before we come back up on this, if we do end up coming back up on this. I don't know what's up. So I gotta figure that out. I'll look around tonight to see if I can figure out what's going on with it. I also have to assume there's some way I could probably just like filter it out. I assume there's like some white noise filter or some filter for just like specific frequencies or whatever that the white noise is on. Look around at some point. Yeah, SPRT now pushed down pretty far. Uh, Other things that have popped up this morning, CETX was popping up while we were looking at this, has pulled back now. Nothing else really too interesting to look at the moment. Coming into $8. I mean, this might be a place that people are looking to buy off of. VWAP now at $7, so VWAP getting closer and closer to us. Finally, we've been dollars apart from it. Oh, the audio bit, right? I don't know. Yeah, I'll look at some stuff tonight. I'll also Google around to see if anyone has any ideas why that could be happening. This volume profile. So I was thinking about. I was looking around for other stuff to look at this weekend. I think the volume profile is kind of interesting. So the volume profile kind of tells you how much volume has been traded at each price location. You see that the highest volume of the day has been traded between 820 and 850, and that's kind of because had a little bit of indecision coming into these levels now. But you can also see that there's like big gaps in the volume, like between 620 and $7. So pretty much just blew through this on very light volume. So now if we start pushing down, and if it ever comes down into this, this is like a pretty dead area for volume. So you would expect it to just fall right through that level. So I think, I don't know if this is going to be something that I look at all the time, this volume profile, but I think it has some merit. It definitely gives interesting information. You can still kind of get similar information from these candles. Just look at like the normal 5-minute candle volume. But still, I think it'll like add it up all together for you and give you a very easy way to view volume traded at each price level. Alright. Does mess up the scaling on the chart though, which I don't love. So this last 5-minute candle, just a huge wick on it. Pushed up like somewhere from like 820, 830, all the way up past 9, so 70% or 70-cent move up, and then dropped a full dollar. Oh, very unfortunate. And one of the highest volume red candles, or highest volume candles, period, of the day. Second highest volume candle. Only one green candle has been higher than it back here. Few negative indicators. First few negative indicators of the day, really, on the stock. This thing has just been moving in a straight line up. So, interesting to see it drop a little bit now. And fortunate, had some rough fills earlier. Unfortunate. Well, we'll see if we can get a trade up here eventually. Shamshir, if I'm pronouncing that right. Shamshir 007. Thanks for the follow, bro. Really appreciate it. If you want to follow me on trading, check out the scanners, oliveguardians.com. I pick up all the stocks that I trade from those. So anything that I am actively trading, you will also see pop up on those scanners. So check them out if you want to follow along with me. PYAI just popped up on the scanner. Speaking of which, just came up ridiculous amount. In the last 5 minutes, it's moved up 82%. Has now pulled back pretty significantly. But we'll see if it comes back up here. Fairly light volume, so I'm not really expecting too much from it. But gotta at least keep an eye on it. It had a really crazy move. It's a COVID news. So I guess this company is developing vaccines against COVID-19 variants. We'll keep an eye on it. Just popped up. Like I said, 90%, 100%, something like that. Fairly light volume. This candle is like a very high, red volume candle, highest volume candle of the day, so that's not what you want to see to start off your trade on this. So probably won't take a trade on it unless it starts coming back up a little bit. SPRT probably, still the one that I'm gonna watch. By AI, maybe signs of life from this if it comes back above $9. Consider taking a trade on it. So SPRT now, kind of holding right below $8. Looks like it's pushing up right now. Uh, a little bit higher volume on this red candle, but still low volume in general on this move down. So pretty much, high volume on these first couple candles, and now this consolidation, this little move down, has been on fairly low volume, so really could do anything at this point. The buy up over $8 for the 1 minute breakout. Could have been a decent trade. It looks like it resolved a little bit right now. On the 5 minute, move above 820 is what we want to watch out for. 821 there. I'm gonna give this a little bit of time. If it breaks out above 820, I kind of want to see it hold that level and not come crashing back down. Just because the last time it had a breakout, it made a very steep move down right afterwards. So I want to see it hold these levels before I take a buy on it now, just because it has a few negative indicators associated with it. We've seen higher volume on these dips. You know, trend break downwards here. So trended up, a little bit of consolidation. As it came down here, though, this break on this 1 minute is not a good sign. So, now we've had on the 1 minute at least like several trend breaks downward. The last breakout was only about 13 cents, so smallest breakout of the day by a pretty significant margin. So there's quite a lot of negative indicators on this now. Again, the buy up as it was coming up to $8 seemed to have been the one to take, but I kind of wanted to wait for a little bit nicer of a 5 minute setup on this. So now if it comes down and we're still holding above 820, maybe I'll buy some shares on this. So this is a little bit what I expected to see, a pullback as it came up through this 820 level. Pullback isn't as strong as I thought, though. See if it ends up coming down into 820, and then if it is able to hold above. Pushing down to 820 right now. Like it's holding 820. We'll see what this next 1 minute candle is. Next 1 minute candle starting right now. Back up. So it looks like we're moving back up. God, dude. Tried to buy 15 shares, did not get filled. Just got filled as it popped back down a little bit. Cost base is 827. So ride this down to 820. Pushing up now back to 850. Buy 15 more shares, looking for the breakthrough at 850. The cost base is now 835, so a little bit high. I'd like to see this resolve upwards fairly quickly, or else I'm probably going to take off some of these shares. Pushing back down towards 820. Don't love that. So took off half. See if it holds above 820. Not holding above 820. Take off the rest of the shares. So this is kind of what I'm saying. It's like very choppy right now. Bunch of negative indicators. So I wouldn't be surprised if this comes back down. As I say this, it pops back up to close to 850. It's just having a little trouble holding these levels, and I don't want to get caught in a move down like one of these previous ones back here. Where it broke out and then immediately pulled back like 70 cents. So just trying to be a little bit more cautious now that we've seen indicators of weakness on this stuff. And I'll keep an eye on the scanners coming into 9 o'clock. Got 20 minutes to 9, but coming into 9 o'clock to see if there's anything else that we can try to take a. For this being so strong this morning, I'm surprised there hasn't been like any like sympathy stocks. Usually, when one stock is going so crazy, the next time you see something else pop up on news, everyone jumps on it because they missed the move on this first one. So I'm kind of surprised we're not seeing more movement from some of these other stocks that are coming up on news. But maybe we will coming into 9 o'clock. Definitely still going to be some opportunities this morning, I would expect. Yeah, back down into 820 again. Getting bought up. In fact, this holding 820 here is pretty nice. New 5 minute candle just started. So holding above 820, what we want to see. The 5 minute, the break above 850 is going to be 5 minute breakout. Not super willing to buy dips on this, I feel like. I just don't love the way this is moving anymore, to be honest. I thought this trade back here on the 1 minute really nice. This was like perfect. On the 5 minute, you can see finally put in like this nice pullback here, made a really nice move. A dollar and a half up. Thought that was a spectacular trade. Now I feel like 5 minute breakout that failed. This 5 minute breakout, barely resolved at all. Getting a lot of choppiness. Now we're coming back down below 820 again. See if we get. One thing I will say is that every time it's dropping below 820, it's getting bought up pretty quickly. See if that continues. But at least that thing has. And now we're dropping down. Coming closer to $8. 5 minute, this still looks okay. Say. Coming below $8. Seemed to get bought up pretty nicely into $8 last time it came down. So might be good to watch here to see if it holds up close to $8 and then we can buy coming up above $8. Yeah, this 1 minute candle ends. Still got 15 seconds left on it. A little bit higher volume on the last little move here compared to the pullback back here, but still fairly light. If it breaks down below 780 here, it doesn't really look great for us. We'd really want it to hold above 780. Maybe the next few 1 minute candles back above $8. I think this candle pushing above $8 right here would be a little bit premature. This 1 minute candle. We'd ideally wait for this next candle. Stock does not like doing. 15 seconds left on this candle. Above 8. Broke out about 15 cents above 8. Guys, just I should have waited. I hate it when these candles break out prematurely like this because now it broke out, moved above this last 1 minute candle, and then pulled back. So now everyone's just seeing a candle that had a tiny little breakout and then pulled back. So again, not a super good indicator if it had held below 8, and then we had a clean break over 8 on the 1 minute. Then we had a really nice 1 minute setup. But you don't always get these perfect setups, unfortunately. Seems to be holding above 8 pretty nice. I assume 820 is going to be a pretty strong point of resistance coming up in here. We've tapped it, on both sides quite a few times today. It looks like there is a bunch of selling coming into 820. Not super surprising. I think a pretty decent sized seller sitting on 820 right now. Looked like we had quite a bit of buying coming into it. And it couldn't really move. Just hit 8:45. I really looks good up on news. If we hold above $8 here, I want to try to take a. I want to try to buy some shares off closer to $8. Honestly, not a whole lot of shares sitting on 820, so I find it strange that it's having such a hard time buying into it. I mean, if it was previous resistant points, I think that it looked like there was only like 5,000 shares sitting on 820. At previous points in the day, blown through that very easily. So candles are getting smaller and smaller here. So I would expect this to break one way or the other pretty soon. It looks like it's leaning towards going up. Buy a few shares here as it pushes down to 8. It's been holding above 8 pretty well. Say this as we push down and break through 8. We'll see if we can hold back above 8. Struggling a little bit above 8. So on the 5-minute now, the breakout's pretty high. It's above 843. Breaking above 820 now would be a great start, though. I'm looking at taking half my shares off if we come up towards 820, probably. Oh yeah, took off half as we came up to 820 since it looked like we were having a really hard time at 820. Now my cost basis is 809. Since I already took off half, at 820, if I hold down to 890 or something like that, it won't be too much of a loss on the trade. And I want to be holding some shares if we do get this breakout above 820. I think if we do get the breakout, we're going to make a pretty straight move up closer to 850. So breaking down a little bit. See if it can push back up into 8. Having a rough time of it. Just double bottomed off 785. So it's good to see it's bouncing off of those lows still. Definitely looking a little weak at the really big wick on this move up to 820 candle. Looking really unfortunate. Had a few of those big wicks recently. So yeah, now if we break down through 785, we gotta take these shares off. Looks like we're down that way. We'll see what the next 1 minute does. We want to see this move pretty much, immediately back up towards 8 if we're thinking about having to move back up. So take the shares off. Just broke down below previous resistance. Most likely will move down a little bit more at the very least. So this was buying and selling so fast. So I'm using hotkeys. I'm using the bongos for hotkeys. So I have like my left bongo, that's my buying bongo, and then my right bongos that are my selling bongos. Another set over here. And on Thinkorswim, if you go into settings, or setup rather, and then like application settings, you can go to hotkeys, and there's like an active trader set of hotkeys, and then you can enable those, and then you can disable the need for confirming your trades. So just like as soon as I hit it, so on my left side here, I have like buying on the bid, buying on the ask, and then buying market for when the market opens. And then on the right side, I have the same thing for selling. I have like sell on the bid, sell on the ask, and then sell on the market. Yeah, and since there's no like confirmations or anything, like as soon as I hit it, it'll just try to make the trade. Don't love the way SPRT is. Still highest volume candle of the day is a green candle. Second highest volume candle though is a red candle with a really big wick. It's been trending downwards for the last 30 minutes. I don't. But now that we're coming into 9 o'clock, we might have some more volume coming in. More people who are willing to buy. They're sitting down and seeing this thing has gone up 275%. I think the problem now is you got to look out for people coming in at 9 o'clock, and this thing went up 275%. Like it can literally only go down from here, and then there's going to be a lot of people trying to short it. So I expect that's what's happening up in some of these higher levels. We're getting people selling off just because they've probably been holding for a pretty significant period of time, and also getting some shorts in. This volume profile looks terrible. Okay, so here on the daily, surprisingly, I see a whole lot of resistance line area that we're sitting in right now. I would expect more coming up into 10. There's maybe some resistance between 8 and 850, which makes sense what we're seeing right now. But I would think the majority of this is just looking at this daily chart here. 5 minutes. Yeah, it's just consolidating now for pretty much since 7:45. We've been consolidating. We had this tiny little breakout here by like a few cents, but right home about. So now maybe as we come into 9 o'clock, maybe we can break out this consolidation. Mic issues getting worse. Yeah, I'll try to figure out what's wrong with it. I don't know why it's so fuzzy. I'll just buy a new mic. Holding above $8 right now. Nice tail on this 1 minute candle, but very light volume. Super, super light volume on that push up. You'll see that a lot, like when a candle makes a move on very light volume, a lot of the times you'll see the next candle like immediately fill it back in. Not completely unexpected that this candle dropped down immediately. Things are pushing up right now. Just broke this 820 level by like a cent. Popped up to 820. So now if we're still looking strong coming into the next 5 minute candle, the break above 821 is a pretty big level, especially coming into 9 o'clock. See how this looks. I'm gonna buy 15 shares coming into 821. Looked like it was pushing up a little bit. Stop fairly tight on the start selling off past 810. Probably pull it off because I expect a move up if we're going to make a. I expect to move up quick. It's having some difficulty. So take those shares off. Like it was having a lot of trouble pushing up past 820 there. Um, and this being, the 5 minute candle before 9 o'clock, I think a lot of people were probably expecting that break. And when the break didn't happen, that's why we're still seeing this bit of a sell off here. Well, it's good to be aware of, what time you're trading into and the key levels that you're trading into. So it's already bounced off of 821 3 or 4 times, and it's coming into 9 o'clock. So this 5 minute break, a lot of people are going to be watching out for this 5 minute break because they want to see what's going to be happening coming into 9. And if there's strength coming into 9, then people are going to want to trade it when they start sitting down to trade. And as soon as we saw that break fail, we saw this bit of a sell-off here, 15-cent, 20-cent sell-off. Right. So holding below $8 now a bit. Pretty light volume on these moves still. We're just gonna have to wait it out and see what happens coming into 9 o'clock. But right now, I would say this doesn't look spectacular. It's kind of been trending down for the last little bit. It's been a very, very light downtrend, but still trending down. If it does recover and make this push over 820, I could see it making a run back up to $9. But I think it would have been like very nice to see it break at it coming into 855. I think now coming into 9, people might see it coming back down again and then be like, well, this is probably it. It's probably done. Then try to short it coming down. It's fighting a little bit to try to come up here. It's coming up on fairly light volume. No volume on this last candle. Hey, it's pushing against 820. A little bit of selling coming into 820. Pushing up though. Alright. Now it needs to hold this. Seen a few times, earlier today where it makes a breakout like this and then makes a huge wick and ends up pulling back the entire move by the end of the candle. It seems to be holding above 820, which is decent. Drop below 820. The candle closed lower than the previous high, so I don't think anyone likes to see that. And now we're 1 minute from 9 o'clock and we just put in this really, really big false breakout on the 1 minute. I would expect this to get shorted pretty hard. And a higher volume move ended green, but what's a false breakout? It's just a lot of negative indicators right now. Fortunately, this is unshortable by TD. Short it. Not looking very strong. Really struggling to reclaim some of these levels that it was up near previously. And obviously, it still looks like it could make a move in the long term, especially coming open. But I would say in the next 10 minutes, I don't think it's going to make a back up. So we just hit 9 o'clock. Not as much selling on it as I would have thought. It did drop below $8, but it seems to be holding. See if it breaks down here. 895. Oh, just popped up on the scanners. This. Use Spirit on a different window. PRT. CO, decent volume, but also not holding its already. Even in the first minute, not holding it. So just don't love it. SPRT still definitely that. If it pops back up, maybe we'll take a look at it, but for the time being, don't love it. Now SPRT kind of struggling here to hold back above $8. This is the only stock we traded so far today. Looked, really nice earlier today. Unfortunately, a lot of this move back here I missed. I only started trading. I think I took one trade on it, closer to 7 in my other account. But I only started trading at 7, and I was kind of afraid of some of these moves coming into the highs, just because there was essentially no real pullback coming in. The 5-minute was super extended the entire time, like pretty much the entire morning. So missed out on a lot of those moves. Now that we've seen these moves happen today being Monday, we'll look for similar moves to happen coming into the rest of this week. Also, I completely forgot, I got a meeting at 9 o'clock. It is 9:02, so I'm going to have to close the stream. I'll be here the rest of the week, 7:30 every morning, so check me out. If you want to check out the scanners, oliveguardians.com. You guys can use them. They run all day, so feel free to